The dogs wouldn't let her through the gate. Everyone thought the dogs were the problem. They were the only ones doing anything right. It happened for the first time on a Thursday afternoon in late August. Nadia Reyes had taken her 3-year-old daughter Coco into the backyard, while her husband Tony mowed the front lawn. The backyard was fenced. The gate at the far end connected to a shared alley and a narrow drainage channel that ran behind the row of houses on their block. The gate was latched. Coco ran toward it the way toddlers run toward any boundary, with absolute purpose and no plan. Bruno and Chester, the 2 English Bulldogs, were in the backyard with them. Both were 4 years old, 65 pounds each, the kind of dogs whose appearance alarmed people who did not know the breed and charmed everyone who did. They were low and slow and had never shown any aggressive or protective behavior in 4 years. They got there before Coco. Both dogs placed themselves in front of the gate, side by side, bodies turned sideways like a wall, facing Coco. Coco tried to walk around them. Bruno moved. She tried the other side. Chester moved. She tried to push between them. Neither dog moved an inch. Coco started crying, not frightened crying, frustrated crying. The kind of cry that meant the world was being unreasonable again. Nadia came and pulled the dogs back and opened the gate and looked through it. The alley, the drainage channel, 6 feet beyond the fence line. Normal water level. Nothing unusual. She closed the gate and told the dogs to go lie down. The following Saturday, the same thing happened. Coco made for the gate. Both dogs were there first. Same wall, same refusal. Tony came out when he heard Coco crying. He watched for a moment and said, "They're gate guarding. They think the gate is their territory. We need to work on that." He called the trainer. The trainer had availability the following Friday. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. On Wednesday evening, 4 days before the training appointment, Nadia brought Coco into the backyard after dinner. The late August air was warm, and the yard was quiet. She sat on the back step with her phone while Coco played with her sidewalk chalk on the patio. She was not watching the gate. She was watching Coco. Coco picked up her chalk and walked toward the back of the yard. Both dogs were at the gate in under 4 seconds. Nadia looked up. Same formation, same wall, same absolute refusal to let the child through. Except this time, Coco wasn't crying. She was standing still in front of the dogs with her piece of chalk at her side and her head tilted, listening to something. Nadia heard it from the step a beat later, a sound from the other side of the gate, low, irregular, not the sound of the drainage channel at normal levels. Tony came out of the back door as Nadia reached the gate. She unlatched it and pushed it open. The drainage channel was flooded. A water main 3 blocks away had failed that afternoon. The utility company had issued a closure notice at 4:45 p.m. Tony's phone was inside on the charger. The channel behind their fence was running at 6 times its normal volume. Not dramatically, not a visible surge, a full, fast, silent current that had climbed the bank in the hour since the failure. The ground beyond the gate was saturated. The channel edge was 3 feet from the gate threshold. Coco would have walked through that gate and been at the channel edge in 4 running steps. The utility crew who came at 8 p.m. that evening assessed the overflow. The foreman told Tony, "That channel at that volume, that ground saturation, you're looking at an unstable bank edge. Anyone who slipped into the channel at this flow rate would be in trouble fast. Kids don't read current." Tony stood at the gate for a long time looking at the water. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. What Bruno and Chester had been detecting on that Thursday, 3 weeks earlier, and again on Saturday, was the precursor, a subtle ground saturation scent, elevated channel moisture in the air, the chemical signature of high-volume water flow that had begun building when a small leak in the same main began weeks before the full failure. Dogs detect water source, flow rate changes, and ground saturation chemistry at concentrations below any human sense threshold. The drainage channel had been running higher than normal, not visibly higher, not dramatically, for 3 weeks before the failure date. Bruno and Chester had registered the change on the first day across their detection threshold. They had been right every single time. Dr. M. Nakashima, an animal behavior specialist at Oregon State University, whose research focuses on canine environmental detection, reviewed the incident at Tony's request. He said, "The behavioral evidence you described is consistent with documented cases of dogs detecting hydrological hazards through a combination of ground moisture chemistry, water vapor concentration in air, and atmospheric pressure changes associated with altered water table levels. Your dogs were not gate guarding in the behavioral sense. They were blocking access to a location they had identified as chemically anomalous. They did this repeatedly over 3 weeks, which suggests the signal had been building." He said, 3 weeks of consistency is not random. That is a dog that has made a decision and stuck with it. Every guardian deserves to be seen, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Tony canceled the training appointment. They reinforced the gate latch with a keyed lock the following week and built a secondary fence barrier inside the property line. Both were things they should have done before. They know that now, but when Coco runs toward the back of the yard now, Bruno and Chester are already there. Not because of the gate. They've stopped doing that. The channel is back to normal levels. The main is repaired. The chemical signal is gone. When Coco runs toward the back, they run with her. They get there first because they always get there first, and they turn around and face her and wait for her to catch up, and she throws her arms over both of their thick necks at once, and they stand there with the absolute stillness of animals who know exactly where they need to be. What did your dog do that you still cannot explain? Drop it below.